Hey everybody, this is Liam Martin from Running Remote, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about 3 problems I see in large remote teams. So I know a lot of you are probably running medium to small size remote teams. Maybe you're running teams of like 2, 3, 4 people, but I'm talking about companies that are running 100 plus headcount organizations, which really changes the way that you manage people, and there's a different set of problems for those companies versus smaller, basically SMB companies. So we're gonna be talking about that today, and let's just get into it. So the first thing that I see in large remote organizations is what I like to call founder islands or authority islands. So they're not actual islands, but they kind of are virtual islands around the founder or the executive team. So my buddy Joel Gascoigne, he is the founder and CEO of Buffer. He has, I think, over 100 remote employees all over planet Earth, and he talks about this a lot, which is he needs to make sure that he works alone, so he doesn't actually work with other employees, because the problems that he has seen and other people like Amir, who's the guy who runs Todoist and also runs Twist, which is a remote work task management app and collaboration app. So they both talk about how they would move to a location and then maybe 1 or 2 employees would move to that same location as well, and then maybe 1 or 2 more. And what it would create is the employees that were actually in the same area as them, they would end up having a lot more access to the founder, and then also they would, by extension, get more kind of an informational advantage. So they'd be able to get their decisions passed a lot faster, or they would be able to fight off other people in debates easier because they were just around the decision maker. So you need to be able to fight that. In this office, we have a couple people that come into this office from time to time. No one's in here today because they're all working remotely, but when they actually are here, we make sure that we are all on our own separate computers, even if we're actually on a call where everyone is on that same call. Why do we do that? Well, it's to be able to create the environment of saying everyone is disconnected, everyone communicates in the same way, and everyone should theoretically have the same access to the founder. I'm very mindful of my decision making when I'm right in front of someone versus the other employees in the company that may be connected to that particular issue that are completely remote, and I need to be able to make sure that I'm treating everyone equally. So no founder islands, no authority islands. Make sure that you're equal to everyone inside of your organization. The second big problem that I see in large remote organizations is bad processes, or even worse, processes that are not paid attention to inside of the organization. Now, if you're a large remote organization, you honestly could not have gotten to that size without actually having operational processes before. I've talked about this quite a bit for a great kind of breakdown of how to do operational processes. Go check out this YouTube channel. There's tons of videos about that. You can also go and just Google the GitLab handbook, which is a 3,200 page remote work document that GitLab has that's completely open source. But the issue that I'm seeing is you'll write out these processes, but then they actually won't be paid attention to properly. So I'll give you an example. We had one of our team members inside of HR that ended up actually hiring someone without the manager's direct approval. So we basically insinuated that that person was going to get hired, but we didn't have this formalized meeting to actually hire that person. And this was a big problem because I actually didn't want to hire that person, and it was very specifically in the process that that was a step that would be taken where we jump on a phone call, we talk about the pros and cons of that particular person, and then we would officially hire that person. And we kind of just did that through messaging, but we didn't do it through an actual call. And that's where those lines were crossed, because I thought the process was one thing and it was actually the version that I wanted it to be. And then the other person that was doing the actual job didn't follow the process properly. So when you have those types of things happen, you need to be able, it's almost like weeding a garden. You need to be able to make sure that you're doing it very diligently and nipping that stuff in the bud, because within weeks or months, your organization can be full of theoretical weeds. So you can have all of these people that are not really paying attention to the processes inside of the organization. And even, let's say, someone that you report to, you need to be able to make sure that you're creating that culture of saying, hey, that's not the process. You need to follow the process properly. And we do that inside of Time Doctor and Running Remote all the time. So I highly suggest if you're running a large scale organization, you implement the same thing. The third thing that I see happen inside of remote organizations is remote culture is not properly implemented, or it was never properly set up in the first place. It was never properly rooted in the first place. So let me explain that in a deeper way. So a lot of remote first organizations or companies that refer to themselves as remote first don't actually focus on that as a core component of their culture. So we have a lot of companies that come to Running Remote as an example. They're large scale enterprise companies and they say, oh, well, we're gonna make one department remote as an example. But then they treat them like they're an in-office employee. And that really doesn't work for the long-term success of those remote workers. Remote workers as an example, unless you're doing like customer support or something like that, you really shouldn't be working a 9 to 5. You should be able to choose your own hours and focus on actually getting the work done at the most optimal time for you, as opposed to showing up to work a particular set of hours. So in our organization, as an example, we talk to the people that report to us or report to me more specifically, and I say, okay, when do you actually want to do your meetings? Let's set up those times. Let's both agree on a good time to be able to meet. And then after that, let's literally have you set your own hours. So we have some people that work from 12 midnight to 4 o'clock in the morning. We have some people that work a 9 to 5. It really depends, and it's totally up to them. You need to be able to adopt these types of remote cultural mindsets before actually having true success in remote organizations, because this actually isn't something that happens instantaneously, but it starts to break down the organization over time. People will end up leaving, you don't know why they're leaving. One of the biggest employee perks that a lot of employees talk about, particularly millennials, is employee work flexibility. So re-implementing that remote work flexibility is super important, and making sure that it's being reinforced inside of the organization. Don't use the old on-premise in-office playbook when you have remote employees. We have a lot of videos about that in the YouTube channel. So those are my top 3 tips. I would highly suggest you go and check out the rest of these videos on this YouTube channel to be able to kind of see what we talk about connected to remote work policies and culture and all that kind of stuff. So I also have a bonus tip, which is if you comment down below, literally it can be Liam looks like an idiot, you like this video, you subscribe to this channel, and you click the little bell thingy, you are gonna be in the running to be able to go to Running Remote 2020, which is in April in Austin, Texas. So if you've ever wanted to go to the biggest remote work conference in the world, for free, you're gonna be able to get that chance. You literally just have to do that. Even if it's like Liam is stupid as a comment, you'll still be in the running to be able to get your free ticket to Running Remote 2020. So go do that right now, and I'll see you in the next video.